Seth Rollins promises to bring back the Universal title to Monday Night Raw. Doudrop looks strong in the show's opening, and Bobby Lashley is in the main event. This is the Wrestling Never Sleeps podcast. Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to the Wrestling Never Sleeps podcast for Monday, January 17th. I'm, of course, your boy, Jared Never Sleeps, here with the coach, Travis Lillard, and my very handsome co-host, the straight shoot in a suit, Adam Anthony James Martin. Baby, welcome to the show, guys. How you guys feeling? We just finished Monday Night Raw. It was a show.
It's a show. It was a marathon. I feel like I just ran a 3,200.
Yes, yeah. It was a show with wrestling on it and some symbolics. What was your favorite? Let's start with the. We're gonna have like a what is it called? A sandwich of compliments. So we're gonna start with something good. What was like the best part of the show tonight?
My favorite part would have been the. Let's see, probably Maurice getting Beth Phoenix in the back with the loaded purse. Just that whole segment, really.
Yeah, it was a brick, correct?
Yep.
But kids, do not do a pile driver. You can't do a pile driver. You can't do a curb stomp.
As long as there's no blood with the brick, we're good.
Yeah, right.
That's over the top.
Well, let's start right there. Let's start with this Miz, Maurice, Edge, and Beth Phoenix feud. It's intensifying. Maurice came out and she said, "Hey, Miz is not here. He likes to he makes decisions without me, but we should call this match. Nobody wants to see it," which is I think kind of true. And she's like, "No one wants to see it. We should call it off." And then what was it? Beth Phoenix and Edge came out, and the Miz like blindsided them or something like that. What do you think of this segment and how this feud is going forward?
I like the brick in the purse. It's an old school move, Jared and Travis. As you know, I'm an old school kind of guy when it comes to pro wrestling. And honestly, this was just like a little refresher of what wrestling could be back in the day. It's simple but effective. I like the swerve. Edge and Beth Phoenix knew that this was going to be problematic if Beth went out there by herself. And in this situation, unfortunately for both of them, it fell into the same category even when both of them came out. It was more of a swerve when Edge decided to make a decision to come out with Beth to make sure that she was safe. But what it caused was more of a build-up towards their match at the Royal Rumble, which I'm looking forward to. I'm a big Miz fan. Maurice is glowing after this segment, by the way. You can just tell how personally she loves pro wrestling. She loves to be involved in main storylines or what WWE considers key storylines and anything the Miz does.
Premium live storylines. Yeah, I think it's the new name for
it. She just excels at being the bad bitch heel, and she shows it tonight by taking out Beth Phoenix with the brick in the purse. Travis, I know you agreed with me when we were talking back and forth during the match. What did you think, man?
Each and every week, this storyline really gets me in a little bit more. And tonight, with that kind of old school vibe, with the loaded purse, the swerve with we're going to send both of them out anyway. I think that it's growing to be something that I'm going to be looking forward to watching come the Rumble. I'm anxious to see what they do with this birthday thing next week. That seems like an old school type deal, but it's I don't know, Attitude Era written on it. So is Edge, and we'll see.
So you guys feel like you're more interested in seeing Beth Phoenix and Edge versus Miz and Maurice after this segment?
A lot more than I was at the introduction of the whole feud.
Fair enough. So okay, so I got a question for you guys. So I think it was maybe like two days ago. The WWE had some type of quote as saying that AEW is just kind of like a self mutilation, blood and guts promotion, and they put out women to go and hurt themselves on live television, and our sponsors and our partners and children should not be watching this type of stuff. So compare this to like the brick in the purse gig. Are they kind of being hypocritical, or is this like kind of fair game?
Well, I can guarantee you what they're going to say is you couldn't see the brick, so you didn't know what hit her whenever she got hit.
Yeah,
there was no blood, right? So that's all they need to defend it. And
yeah, it's like Travis said. There's no blood. It's an old school move. From as far back as I can remember, which is probably the early '80s. And it's very, very effective. The fact that
I would hope so. Brick to the head for a 2 count that's AEW booking.
If you get up from a brick shot, there's something wrong. Yeah. So it's not like 8 power bombs or nothing,
Yeah, right.
So
it's no Canadian destroyer.
You take a brick shot, you go down, you stay down, and you sell the move. You sell the segment. You put your opponent over because they attacked you. It's a brick. I can't take a brick shot. I don't know if you guys could, but I wouldn't be able to. Whether she's the Glamazon or not, she's not getting up from that. It's going to take some time to recover. And, going into the build-up for this Royal Rumble match between Edge and Beth and Miz and Maurice, it just adds to it more. It was effective, I think, even though it was so obvious on what was going to happen. Don't discredit the superstars involved in this segment, more so than the writers themselves that created it. So good on them, bad for the writers because it was so obvious. But at the same time, it was very effective, in my opinion, because, it's a brick. You ain't getting up from that.
Right. I think going back to that statement, it's nothing more than WWE trying to save face. It's not the first time they've done this. It's not the first time that they've been kind of hypocritical when comparing their product with another product. But when it makes them look good and appeases their sponsors and gets them a little bit more on the check, then they'll say it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Because it's WWE. They've done some of the worst things ever. So it's like for them to even criticize everyone else, it's just like, come on, guys. Like, you're WWE at the end of the day.
I watched the hand be born.
Yeah, right. But I think overall, like you said, Adam, the performers did great. They made it as entertaining as they possibly could. And they added that little bit of personal element of it. Of it's like, oh, you just really hit this lady with a brick. That's pretty crazy. So I think the only thing that can really kill this is if like maybe the match goes too long because you have 2 Royal Rumbles that night and then you have a couple like main event matches as well. So
I'd say somewhere around the 10 to 12 entrances.
Was it 12?
10 to 12 entrances.
Either way, I think they gave it enough TV time to do what they wanted to do and establish what they wanted to do. So, as much as people hate The Miz, I think he's very effective in what he does because everything he does is very simple.
I love
and simplicity to me is key.
I am a Miz fan. I like The Miz. I like The Miz because he is hated, but he shouldn't be hated because he's a winner. He's a winner. Yeah. He did everything right. He's been WWE champion. He's successful, but people hate that guy. Switching gears.
Great. And I think that was our argument. You good? I think that was kind of our argument going into this was that neither one of them really need each other for this, but I think at the end of the day, it's going to end up being more of a nostalgia thing with the mixed tag team match. So not necessarily growing either person, but just something that maybe we didn't know we wanted to see.
Yeah, we definitely didn't know we wanted to see that. The Miz versus Edge feud.
Right.
So switching gears, let's go over to the beginning of the show. You had an in-ring segment. Becky Lynch says the reason the women's division is so hot is because of her. She is approached by Doudrop and Liv Morgan. Bianca Belair hops in the ring, and then they have a tag team match that breaks out with Becky Lynch and Doudrop versus Bianca Belair and Liv Morgan. So I noticed one thing I did notice is Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch didn't really touch each other at all. It was kind of like a drop kick or something like that, and then that was it. So I'm thinking that kind of tells me that Bianca Belair is probably going to Royal Rumble, and you're going to end up having Lynch and Bianca at WrestleMania. But Doudrop, she's going to be facing Becky Lynch in 2 weeks at the Rumble. So she got the win, she got the pin, and she did like the little splash, the Yokozuna splash onto I think Becky Lynch at the end. Tell me what you guys think about how this whole feud in this women's division is materializing in. Do you like the directions going in?
Well, before I say anything, Jared and Travis, I'm going to have to say Banzai, because that was the most effective thing of the whole segment. Other than that, I think this was a bad way of doing what they did. There was a bit of a botch. I look for those things, as I'm sure you guys do as well. If you're not looking for them, they just stand out when they're that bad. Miscommunication, maybe whatever you call it, inexperience, doesn't matter. It still happened on live national television on their flagship programming show as being Raw. Boudreaux went for the pin when she was not the legal woman, and next you know it caused a disruption without the match. But either way, we went from a segment and a promo that made sense and a storyline that made sense to something that just didn't fall into place, in my opinion, when it came to the show, the flow. And I'm not excited for this one. Doudrop and Lynch at Rumble. Yeah. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why they're doing, other than maybe a relation that she has or something that she might bring to the table down the line. But as of right now, it just doesn't make sense. I like the Belairs in the Rumble because I agree. I think she has a really good chance of winning. Do I want her to see her win? Maybe not. But there's no other right candidate for that WrestleMania spot, I believe, against Becky Lynch other than Bianca Belair. So it was an interesting segment, but we started off with not so much of a bang, and then we carried over to something, you know what I mean? Like, it just didn't hit the spot for me.
Is it just me, or did they pipe in like boos when Becky Lynch came out? Because it seemed like she got a pretty positive crowd reaction, and they kind of piped it. Did that really happen, or was I hearing things?
I'm pretty sure there was definitely times where the noise was piped in because people weren't moving. There wasn't any, like I said, any movement within the crowd. So you would think that if there's any kind of loud noise, you're going to see people moving and gesturing and all that kind of thing. And,
yeah.
I think that was probably for Lynch, for Belair. I kind of jokingly said hot crowd because you could kind of tell it was a little bit of a Mike Denton type thing, but very much the same as Adam. Kind of indifferent to the whole title match. I don't care about it. I love Belair. I think she's great. I think that the way that she was booked here, as you said, Jared, kind of makes her look like she's going to at least stand a hell of a chance of walking away, being the winner of the Rumble to go on to WrestleMania. So if that was the goal, they got that through. Doudrop looked like she was able to be strong tonight, so at least maybe some kind of formidable contender for the title at Rumble, which is where we normally see people that kind of seems like we wouldn't typically see in the main event get a title shot, so that they can save spots for the Rumble. So
one thing I will say is that Lynch actually got her feet on the ropes this time around when it came to Liv Morgan, so that was positive.
Yeah,
although she didn't get the win this time around, when she still got her feet to the ropes, they made them. I like Liv Morgan going into this match. What I've seen from a year or two ago has been a drastic improvement. Unfortunately, she did take the fall, but again, I think that's on purpose because they want to make Bianca strong going into the Rumble, potentially winning it, and again facing Lynch at the Rumble or WrestleMania. Sorry, unfortunately for someone like Liv Morgan, who is drastically improved, unfortunately they're still not on the same level as the EST, who seems to be rolling with momentum, getting ready to prepare again for that title that she so rightfully. Wrongfully lost, in my opinion, when she did lose it. So it's an exciting hype in that sense. But again, the match itself to me just seemed to fall flat. Even though with the introduction pop that Lynch and even Bianca got, when she came out to the ring. But at the same time, the flow of it, the botch kind of ruined it for me. Is Doudrop ready for this opportunity that she's being given? We're going to find out at the Royal Rumble.
I'm still, I think the original sin is I'm still not sold on making Becky Lynch a heel. I think that was just a stupid decision. She was one of the most over people in the entire industry, man or woman, and she was red hot. And I think they could have had two baby faces, like two major baby faces on that show. Like even if they would have took Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair and put them in tag team and made them tag team champions, and then have someone else go for the title, and then they can maybe feud later on or something like that. But I just don't see a reason why you have someone that over and so gets such a good crowd reaction and then turn them heel for no reason. So now it just kind of makes everything else fall in line the wrong way, You
think they'd have learned back when they did that with Austin? I mean, somebody that's on top, selling all this merchandise. I mean, white hot baby face. And then you just, I don't want that.
And it just wasn't the right time. Like, for what? Like, it was designed to so I guess Bianca Belair could chase, but I mean, I don't think she already beat Sasha Banks. She's already main evented WrestleMania. So what's the chase for? She's done all that. So tell a different story for us, And as far as Doudrop, Doudrop, I think would be a good character, kind of like Yokozuna. You can kind of same exact booking. She squashes a bunch of people, whatever. And then it's like, oh, can Bianca Belair slam Doudrop or something like that? But they already gave that away on Raw for free. But to have a heel versus heel in this matchup, it just doesn't make sense. And she's not going to beat Becky Lynch either,
Well, one thing I will give Doudrop is not only did she get the pinfall for her team tonight, under controversy, but she also won the accent battle of the night throughout all the females
Celtic
on the show, because everybody but Bianca Belair had an accent when it came to the female performers.
Yeah.
And, even Maurice did. She had the French Canadian accent, but everybody else was either Scottish, Irish, or, you name it. We had all the international,
and, speaking of ladies with accents, let's talk about Nikki ASH and Rhea Ripley. That match ends in a DQ because giant badass Rhea Ripley can't seem to beat Nikki ASH. She's too vicious.
The match never got started.
Yeah.
Thank God it was over before it had a chance to start.
Yeah.
That lasted about 3 minutes, and that was 3 minutes too long. No words about the whole Nikki thing.
We couldn't make Rhea Ripley the Raw Women's Champion and then throw Bianca Belair and face Becky Lynch in the tag team division and let them just elevate the titles and do something else and have good matches with different people. And then when it's time for them to feud later, they can just split off and then feud. We couldn't do that. Is that a better story?
Compared to Nikki ASH, everything is a better story.
Yeah. I like a lot better when she was Nikki Cross, honestly.
Yes.
Cross, yes. That's what I prefer her as. That's what she should be. Not the same Nikki Cross that we're also used to when she first came into NXT, but at least a parody or a version of that, I think. Mm-hmm. What she's doing now is ridiculous. It's over the top. It's past its time. It's not her. You can tell that she's faking it. You can tell that she's struggling through it to try to get this over, which is not even close to being over. It's preposterous, in my opinion, and it's just uncalled for someone. I wouldn't say she's one of the most talented women in the division, but she at least is better than what she's showing.
She could have a spot.
She could have a spot. She's a reliable worker, I guess you could say.
She's someone you could put in the Royal Rumble.
In WWE nowadays, that wouldn't surprise me if Nikki ASH or Nikki ASH won the Royal Rumble this coming Rumble.
Oh,
this
month. God,
it'd be disgusting, but
yeah, she won the Money in the Bank, so anything's possible.
She could be Money in the Bank winner too.
But to me, what stood out with that whole thing was, like you said, Jared, such a waste with Rhea Ripley.
Right? Like, what are they doing? She's such a cool character. It's sad.
She must have pissed someone off in the back. She must have, did something that she wasn't supposed to do. Someone might have gotten someone's ear with politics, backstage. But at the same time, she is one of the top performers in the women's division. She should be competing for a title. She should be, at that brink of headlining a WrestleMania, in my opinion, and it's past due. At the same time, you have Doudrop now challenging for the title at the Rumble. Potentially, going into WrestleMania as champion, highly unlikely, but still a possibility due to the match at the Rumble. And, what's Rhea Ripley doing? She's competing with a cartoon character. That means nothing in a storyline that has not even really developed to call it a storyline. So at the same time, you're wasting one of your top prospects that's past that point. She's in a prime now, in my opinion, and she should be up there with the Banks, the Lynch, the Flairs.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be very easy to make three major stars in that women's division. I think it's just so easy. Like, it's just right there, and they just kind of like, nope. But
it's almost like they decided that they tried it out a little bit during this whole Thunderdome era, or just prior to the Thunderdome era, and let's not revisit it when there's people here to actually know if they care or not. We did it. We're moving on. We're going to waste her on a 1995 cartoon gimmick. And that's where we're at until she gets ruined on TV, and we can't even put her on TV anymore.
Same thing with my girl Shayna Baszler. Same exact type of like, why are we wasting this amazing talent?
Where's Shayna Baszler?
I think she's on SmackDown.
Where is she?
I think she's on SmackDown.
I met her. I got to meet her in Vegas, and she is really, really cool. Despite the badass character or what we see on TV when she came over to NXT, that's her real personality. But she's still a legit person. Really cool, amazingly talented inside and in the ring, and also the cage. It's a shame that she's not on TV. I don't know what happened, but I got to find this out, because that's a travesty not to see her on national television when we're seeing these other women that are given opportunities when they're not clearly ready.
Yeah, right. It's super travesty. Speaking of travesties, what you guys think of the main event? Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley duking it out. What are your thoughts about the finish?
The finish to me was lazy booking, in my opinion. I think they could have done something different, but I like the fact that Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin made a presence. They need to be recognized as a tandem still on this program. They need to be, utilized in some way, shape, or form. And obviously the story with Lashley isn't through yet, because they did attack Lashley, caused a DQ. Lashley got the win over Seth, which was right to keep him strong going into the match against Brock. You don't hurt Seth in that way either. And the Usos got the better of Seth, so ended up, both number one contenders ended up getting, beat up by the rivals, that they had going into the match. So the Usos there to protect Roman. Obviously, the Hurt Business has unfinished business with Lashley, because, obviously the stable's no longer. MVP involved in that as well, who I think is a phenomenal manager. I just wish to see him get a little bit more involved in Lashley's matches. But as Travis, I believe you said earlier, it seemed like they're kind of pushing Lashley towards the face role, maybe sooner than later, after he's been a heel for all this time.
Yeah, and as far as the end of this goes, I don't know how many different ways you can go, because you can't, as you said, Adam, you can't make either guy look weak. And if they were to end it with, say, a double DQ where they were just both brawling with each other, then it looks more like they're going into a feud than they're having the separate feuds. So honestly, I think the way they ended it was probably about the best they could, minus Reigns and Lesnar coming out, which I'm going to give that away, hopefully. I wasn't
it's like one of those situations like, just don't have the match. Just don't have the match. That's the best thing to do.
I can't say I was disappointed by it, because I seen it coming, being a DQ. However, I definitely didn't see Alexander and Benjamin coming out and then the Usos coming out. So, yay. I wasn't.
I really miss the days. Remember, I guess in the Attitude Era, where you Raw would end and there's like more questions than answers, and it's like,
Right.
okay, now I have to watch SmackDown because how's this story continue? We don't get those cliffhangers anymore. It's just kind of like, what the hell was that? Like,
Right. It's more like, okay, I just finished a chore, then I can't wait to watch it again next week.
yeah. It's
Raza, you have to be dedicated to watch Raw, and that's been going on for a couple of years now. And the fact that we were able to make it through it, obviously, we're going to, because we're talking about it. Raw was, for me, not having watched it in quite some time, and actually sitting at back-to-back weeks all the way through. This was an improvement from last week, so I'm excited for next week because I like to see a little bit of that growth. Despite a lot of flaws, despite a lot of botches, in my opinion, or missed opportunity, whatever you want to call it, throughout the whole show itself. With Finn Balor and Owens, I barely even got to see that match because due to commercial. Austin Theory and Balor, never got to see it really.
Yeah.
The
Balor
KO
beat
show,
clean.
there was commercial breaks. There was wrong placement of certain things that happened. The Martin Luther King thing.
Yeah, that was weird.
Out of place. That should have happened at the beginning of the show. I don't know who's writing this show, but this week did seem a little bit better, and that's a far cry from help, or a close cry from help. Sorry, that they're still in dire need of improvement, but overall, this was better than last week, in my opinion. It flowed a little bit better. And again, like I said, that's not saying much. There was a lot of things out of place this week on Raw. But
the
bar
is so low. The bar is so low.
The bar is really low.
It's very, very low. One thing we didn't. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Trav.
Was that?
You. I'm sorry. I thought you were saying something.
Oh, I think Adam was finishing up saying something.
Oh, sorry about that. Oh, one thing we forgot to get to as well. The RK Bro Alpha Academy segment where they were kind of they were graduating, and then Riddle comes out and Randy Orton gets RKO. Go ahead.
I have to say that I love Gable as a heel. I would never thought I'd have said that, but I loved it. I did.
There was that one shot. He looked like Kurt Angle. He looked exactly like Kurt Angle.
Yes. He reminded me of Kurt Angle in a few aspects of that segment. He's gotten a lot better on the mic. Mm-hmm. He knows how to draw heat to himself and Otis. Otis doesn't need to talk. He can do his 1 or 2 word little repeat little sessions there that he was doing, which was kind of comical at the same time as being serious.
Yeah.
Because when the screen zoomed in on Otis, when they talked about an academic challenge, you just know right away that, Otis isn't bringing anything to the table. But he was scared, right? Because he has a point to prove. He's with his best bro, his master or teacher or whatever you want to call Gable nowadays, of the Alpha Academy. He was a little weary, and that was real. So Riddle doing his over the top thing with the smoking weed and the stoner angle gimmick, whatever you want to call it, didn't take away from anything that Gable was providing or bringing to this segment and helping to build up that rematch between RK Bro and the whole Randy Orton. Anytime he's on TV, it's gold. Right. So he puts on the uniform, he puts on his little tassel hat, and bada bing, bada boom, baby, he's back in the running. And personally, I like to see the two split. Yeah. RK Bro split and Riddle versus Orton at WrestleMania, maybe, to help the new talent get over, being Riddle, and Orton finally passing the torch. But that might be wishful thinking the way that WWE books. But at the same time, I'm glad to see them get back on track and potentially challenge for that rematch and maybe even reclaim their titles.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's a great feud, I think. That's probably a feud that's on Raw right now.
It's interesting. I'm not terribly covering, I'm not covering my eyes throughout the whole show. My eyes aren't bleeding consistently throughout the whole 3 hours. Even though despite all the commercials in maybe the wrong places, because we did miss that Finn Balor and Austin Theory match completely. I saw
it was so weird. I felt like there was no, they mentioned it, we haven't seen Finn Balor for a long time, but there wasn't any concentration on that. He was just out there and he had a match and then he was gone.
Yeah, because that means his career is over.
I mean,
Prince Devitt is all elite. Before we go, are there any things you're looking forward to for next week's show?
I'm ready for the Rumble. Like, I'm just ready to be there right now. I want the road to WrestleMania to start because I like to see what WWE is going to plan for WrestleMania. That's the go-to pay-per-view or the extravaganza or live premium event, as they call it nowadays. But the Rumble is the start of it, so I'm excited for the Rumble. Anything in between what they do now, like that promo package between Lesnar and Lashley was phenomenal. That reminded me of old school storytelling and building up to a really big championship match. But that's where I stand on that.
How about you, Trav? Real quick.
I can get on board with that, but I did see right before we started that Lesnar will be on Raw next week. So I guess if I'm looking for anything on Raw, it would be let's see what Lesnar is going to do now.
I'm looking forward to the increased sexual tension between Vince McMahon and Austin Theory. But that about does it for us tonight, folks. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe this video. And hit the notification bell so you know when we have more videos coming out. Thanks for watching. We will see you on Tuesday for NXT. For Travis and Adam, I am Jared Never Sleeps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. It's still real to me, damn it. Good night.